Well, Lindsay, I think this bike here is one that's excited me in the times that I've seen it, and I'd love you to give us a little bit of background to it. It is the most beautiful thing, but besides being beautiful to look at, you've got rarity and all sorts of things that it did in America when they first came out.
That's right.
So could you just give us a little bit of background to it?
Okay, David, basically these were first prepared as a board track bike. That was a saucer shaped track that they used to use in the States during that period, and specifically built for that. In board track racing you didn't need brakes and they didn't have a throttle. They just went to full bore as soon as they started, and they used a cutout on the handlebar to slow them up as required. So I don't know what happened if the wire ever fell off that cutout. You just went until it ran out of fuel, but that's what they were primarily. Rhodes Motors, who were the Indian dealers here in Melbourne, imported two of these things in 1915, specifically for racing, open racing in Australia, because we didn't have board tracks. We had a couple of motordrome type sign. But these came with a brake arrangement and hand throttles on the thing, so that they could have some little control over them, and also front suspension, which the board track bikes didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So as I say, they brought out a couple of these things, and Jack Booth, one of the top professional riders of the day, was the first guy to ride the thing, and he took it to South Australia, and he set a world speed record, 102 mile an hour on the Gawler Road.
It's pretty quick in those days.
In 1916, so that was pretty quick, and it would have been a dirt road, of course, I guess. And then later on it was raced by Harold Parsons and so on, and he raced it up until it had a major blow up on Ferntree Gully Road, Wheelers Hill, where they used to have their major hill climbs. I don't think it was up the main Ferntree Gully Road. I think it was up that back road that sort of wanders up the side there, and that used to be their hill climb place. You know? So it broke a connecting rod and just rode off the crankcases and the cylinder heads and cylinders. And then the mechanic for Rhodes actually was given the bike, as it was at that stage of the game, and it sat in his house and eventually went to Marysville and sat there for many years until, I guess it's 15 years ago now, that I got to know him, and he knew what we were doing with other Indians and so on, and I guess I got a bit of an in with him. I managed to get the thing, but it had sat on the ground, it had rotted right into the ground itself.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, so I had to reproduce the crankcases from enough bits that were there, and the front head and cylinder I had to reproduce, and re-tube the frame. And that's the way it is, and of course with a bit of nickel and red paint I think you can make anything look pretty nice, but the fact is that they were 100 mile an hour, in fact they went about 110 mile an hour a bit later on, in the teens. And pretty revolutionary thing, although the guys must have been heroes to actually do that sort of stuff.
Especially on the boards with all the splinters when you fell off.
Well, that's right, yeah. Of course, you know, they faced, the boards were indeed timber and made of, I think, 4x2s on edge. And I don't know that it was splinter type stuff, but it used to get soaked in oil. And one of the fixes were that after racing, the guys, the track would have to be de-oiled, and of course the guys never wear goggles or mostly not crash helmets in those days, and so when they go out for the next ride, of course there'd be all this oil coming off these things, oil coming off the track, and the stuff they degreased the track with, and that'd be in their eyes, so they were all blind by the time they were about 22, you know. It's only kids racing.
If they survived that, anyway.
If they survived to that point, yeah.
A couple of things that spring to my mind. Firstly, the tyres that we've got here now bear no resemblance to what they would have had in 1916. They would have been pretty basic and wouldn't have lasted very well.
They would have been beaded edge tyres at a time, and smooth tread things just on the boards. The tyres on this, we fitted it out this way because the intention was to take it to the salt and set a speed record for an antique bike there. But when I finished and it looked so good, I thought, I'm not going to take it to the salt. You know?
It's not the salt, mate, after all
so
that.
the tyres fitted now, and the wheel rims are 23-inch speedway tyres that would handle the speed.
The other thing is, of course, probably the most famous thing about this is the 8-cylinder arrangement that we've got. So you've got 4 cylinders in each.
Yeah, well, 4 valves in each.
4 valves on each side.
That's right. Yeah, which is fairly revolutionary for motorcycles. Aircraft engines have been doing it for a while, you know, in the teens, and Indian and eventually Harley Davidson did the same thing, and of course that lifted their performance dramatically from what was available from the old side valves at the time, you know, or the F-heads that were run.
Yes, I mean it's this now must be very, very rare.
Oh yes, yes. Well, they only produced 25 of them in that period, and I guess most of them were sort of blown up, much like this one was in the first place, and probably disappeared. So I know of about 5 or 6 sort of surviving around the world.
Are they? Yeah. Of course, there's been a lot of improvement over the years. I think the oil would have been pretty basic in those days.
Yes, yeah.
And they didn't know much about, or as much about timing and various other things that we've got today. So the engines really must have been running pretty roughly compared to
well, you know, they're only relatively slow revving things. They probably, you know, the best would probably do 3,000 RPM, and but very torquey sort of things at that time. And of course, being such a lightweight thing, it's really only a push bike with a 1000cc engine in the thing.
By nothing.
It's got to work, you know. Something's got to happen when you open that throttle, you know.
We create a lot of noise too out of these little pipes.
Well, yes, that one sounds particularly good because I took the liberty of, when I had to rebuild it, I made connecting rods and new flywheels for it, and upgraded the camshafts a little bit so it would perform. So it's not quite like the old Tiger Moth pop thing. It's got quite a bark to it, you know.
Yes, to a layman like myself, when you casually say, I made the crankcases and the cold rods and all the other bits, I mean, that's magic to me. How many hours do you reckon it would have taken you to do this?
I don't even like to think about it.
You never think of the money, but the hours would have been considerable.
I've got this philosophy, like, you know, that I work on the minimum possible expenditure of money. You know, it's a real shoestring thing, because that's why I sort of got to the stage where I make everything, you know, and it helps, you know. But
absolutely,
it certainly uses up the hours, and if you're paying for the hours, well, forget it.
Oh, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. You couldn't tell Katie for a start, could you?
That's right.
To sell the house.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, this to me, we could go on all day, because the Anzani and this are just 2 out of a very interesting collection of bits and pieces, as well as the hill climb car.
Yeah.
So it's always pleasant to talk to you, Lindsay, because you've got a feast of memories and things that have happened and the work that you've done.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Good upon you.
Okay.
Yeah.